And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Friday, January 6th. June 6th, 2025. Do you know why I said January? Because I'm sitting here not paying attention. I am watching the Novak Djokovic match with Yannick Sinner in the semis. And, okay, back on the market. Hey, in case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, and we have a lot to say about the markets today. We hope you listen. We'll do the economy, your job, your industry. We'll do the debt and deficits and the too big, not so beautiful bill. And all the other crap that goes along with it. And whatever else comes to mind. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we will post it at GaryK.com. We will also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email me, just be nice. But when you email me, come with ammo. Come with facts. Don't come with BS. Come with facts. When we talk to you about the debt and deficits, we get a little back and forth from people, but come with facts. And we tell you exact numbers. Come with facts. Don't come back with, oh, Gary, this and you, Trump derangement syndrome and this and that. Come with facts. What we don't want to hear are the hacks, meaning if your side does everything wrong, you say they do everything right no matter what. If the other side does everything wrong, you jump all over them. If the other side does everything right, you don't say anything. Remember here, we have a simple thought process. We can't stand any of them. 37 trillion going quickly to 40 trillion. Says it all. It shouldn't be that difficult. But we start with the markets. And out of the box today, we had a jobs number. The peeps were out there trying to tell us the jobs number was really good. It was okay. In fact, the estimates were very low, so to beat it was easy. We've been averaging 200,000 plus. They did 130. But on the other end, we're losing all the government jobs. Just remember, Joe Biden lived off the government. They were hiring people left and right in the government. And it was going on the jobs numbers. Remember, Joe Biden's 4 years was one big gigantic con job of debt deficits, and all kinds of lies and thievery, not to mention God knows how many people came through the border. So, the market, for whatever reason, opened up strong and finished strong. Simple as that. We can pick a few things out not so great, but all we can tell you, it opened strong, and it finished strong. And there are a few things of note, and we want you to listen carefully. Number one, if the old highs get taken out, that'd be big news. What do going through old highs do? Well, it attracts more money. It attracts more money out of the big institutions because everybody is in the money. Everybody is making money. It's simple as that. And as I'm looking at the indices, they're still a little bit of ways. But what I did like this week, they got above the prior 3 weeks high, in spite of what we got out of DC this week. The best news for me is new yearly highs. They're not a lot, But you know what happens if things improve and we actually do break out? They're going to be a crap load of new yearly highs, and you jump all over, and we get more legs to the upside. Simple as that. I would like to come out today and tell you I have something negative to say, but when it comes to stocks, the housing stocks are still weak. Other areas are still weak, though they've been coming on. And you want to just accentuate where the strength is. The other part of the equation today somewhat weirds me out. The 10-year yield was up big today, 1.16 to 4.510 in the past. That would knock the market down. So how is the market having a strong day today with yields very much spiking? Well, there's a thought process of that means economic strength. That is a pretty sound thought process, that yields are going up because of economic strength. And as I have said to you, there is no doubt in my mind that this quarter is going to be 3% plus. 3% plus in GDP. But it's going to come from what happened the last quarter. So we'll just keep paying attention. I like what we're seeing. Today also something else is in effect. Some of the mega caps, even the weakest mega caps, had a very strong day. Weak Google was up 5 and change today. Weak Salesforce.com, and I mean very weak, in the Dow, up $7.50 today, 2.8%. Amazon, as we told you, we thought that was ready to make a move, was up 2.7% today. Apple, the weakest of the week, was up 2.3% today. Let me make sure I get that right. That would be correct. The other part of the equation we want you to know is the big banks. No, they have not broken above a certain range that I am watching right now, but they're getting close. Let me give you some examples. If Goldman Sachs can break above $621, if JP Morgan can break above 269 and change, if Bank America can break above 45.15. Notice what I'm doing for you here. We're actually giving you specific numbers that if price gets above, it would be good stuff. Morgan Stanley, how about 133.05? So if those banks go topside, even better. We're also seeing better action. Remember, I was complaining for a long while about the private equity companies like Evercore and KKR and some others. Well, they're starting to set up also for better. So just letting you know, we are very top heavy on the big indices. I have to throw another thing in. I'm probably going to jinx it. The Russell 2000. I believe we told you about this yesterday. The Russell 2000 broke above the last 3 months range. In March, I'm going to give you the exact numbers. 2110 in March. It hit 2115 in May. Closed at 2131 today. That's small cap 2,000 stocks. Less liquid, but looks like they're going to be on the move too, I think, here. I'm probably jinxing it. As we told you, we tried it a couple of times last year and failed both times. The IWM is the best exchange-traded fund for the Russell. So that's good news. And then there's the mid-caps. They have not gone topside yet. Symbol for that would be MDY. But they're getting close also. So on the day, the Dow up 443, S&P up 61, NASDAQ 231, NASDAQ 100 214. Transport's even up 237. And you know how weak they've been. So good day. Advanced declines, pretty darn good and improved throughout the whole day. Was there any not so great things? Well, I can tell you Broadcom was down $13 today on their earnings. It opened up only down about 5 or 6, but kept getting sold off. Didn't affect the semis, though. They were up today. Up next, we'll keep delving into the markets and much more. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm going to give you another financial. American Express. A move above, let's call it $303.65. That would be just another big name. And by the way, that one's in the Dow. So just letting you know, whatever's doing the trick is doing the trick. Our markets are setting up for higher. And how do we know this? Because pullbacks have been nominal. They haven't lasted long. They have been bought up. And that is with some not so great news. It was somewhat of a newsy week again. Somewhat a wild week. On the good news front is they keep telling us how great the deals are going to be, and we're going to talk to this whatever and that. I must tell you, it's not about losing patience, but I always worry. What do we tell you about the boy who cried wolf? They told us 2 weeks ago this week, they told us the beginning of this week that they were going to be announcing deals, and there's no deals. They also told us the United Kingdom was a trade deal. No, it wasn't. They said the European Union was. No, it wasn't. That's not a trade deal. So let's hope they are not snowing us from a bunch of people that are pretty good at snowing us. That's going to be big time watched in the weeks ahead. I do hear that on June 9th, our trade people are going to meet with the Chinese trade people, and we'll see how that goes. I got a lot of questions from all you. So we're going to do some question and answer time here on some individual stuff. The first one was, and the biggest one was, Tesla. Because in case you didn't know, Tesla, let's see what it did yesterday. Tesla closed at 332 the day before and finished at 284, was as low as 273. So down about $48. Today, Tesla finished up 11. What do I think? Well, I don't know the outcome on the TIF. The president was threatening to take away subsidies and contracts and all kinds of stuff. I just don't know. What I do know is as I look at the stock, technically it's a mess. It trades like crazy. Insiders are selling, and their card numbers stink. I can use the word stink. The card numbers stink. The talk of the town on Tesla from the analysts is the robo-taxis and robots and things like that. Well, I think there's a lot of prayer going on for that. If there wasn't some of that, I think the stock would be $150 right now. And I mean that. It closed at $295. Just on the cars alone. Just on the cars alone. We're not going to tell you what to do. You get to decide. It was up today. Finished up a little less than 11, did hit a high of up 22 and could not hold it, and we'll see what next week brings. We'll get into the tussle a little bit later on the show. We also got a bunch of questions on Palantir. Well, in case you don't know, the story goes Palantir has a decent amount of business from the government. And there's been a big article out this week that the Republicans are pissed off at the company. They've been accused, and we don't know if it's true or not, of taking down all our data, that they know all of us and our names and Social Security, all that kind of crap. So the stock got hit pretty darn good yesterday, back up 6% today. What I can tell you is it's a little bit above the highs of February, and it's a very wide swing and range bound over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Got back up above a important moving average today, but still in range. But that was a pretty darn good day. Best way I can explain Palantir. We're also getting questions on, you know what we get the questions on, right? What's hot? That's what we get the questions on. So the latest little hotness was an IPO that came out, Circle Internet Group. I don't know what price the deal was. I should check that out. But it's in Fuego. And I'm about to look what the price was for the IPO. It'll come up any second, I promise, I swear. Circle. $31 IPO. Opens at $69. Closes at $107 today after hitting $123. I guess they're into this stable coin, digital currency, this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. Numbers look good this quarter. People are asking about it. I just don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Anytime an IPO comes out like this, we put it on our screen and we'll pay attention to it and see what comes of it, but we haven't touched it because we can't figure out exactly what the hell they do. But I will figure it out by the weekend. Symbol CRCL. Neato. And we get the usual questions on the nuclear because it's getting hot, and the quantum because it's hot, and we'll just tell you the same thing over and over again. They're acting well, they're being bought, a lot of them have no sales, so just careful. If they get unhot, they'll all go back to where they came from, and you'll lose your butt. Simple as that. And it's interesting how so many have no sales in that area. But boy, oh boy, they light up like a pinball machine. And I do see some of them have $6 and $7 billion market caps with no sales. How many stocks have we talked about throughout the years with no sales that ended up going back down 90%? All of them. Maybe this one's different. Maybe quantum is the big thing and nuclear is the big thing. But somehow I think big companies are going to benefit companies with no sales. I'm not so sure of that. So just letting you know. Gold, rough day today. Strong dollar. Range bound. I think 4 or 5 weeks ago I said I thought it was going to go range bound. That's exactly what's happened. The gold miners broke out and tucking back in because of it. Up next, more on the markets. News of the day. News of the week. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I think I'm not 100%. Let me just say, I don't know if they have bottomed or not, but they're certainly trying, and that's the oil stocks. They are so much weaker than the rest of the market, but tone is better, and it's certainly helped. They have been an anchor on the big indices. Now they are a little bit of a help. And by the way, I hear some of the smaller oils are in the Russell 2000. So I just want to let you know about that. I mentioned the big banks, the semiconductor stocks, in spite of Broadcom, were actually up today, but I do believe there's work to be done. But some of the equipment guys that are important, like KLAC, moved above a little range. That's open to, let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Do not forget that in the third week of July comes earnings season. And that's where we are up earlier by an hour or two and done working an hour or two going through numbers, but more importantly, going through guidance, and then most importantly, going through the reactions, because we've seen good earnings sold off. We've seen bad earnings bought up. You just don't know where it's going to come from. We're always careful about playing right before earnings. I'm always amazed. Somebody upgraded Broadcom yesterday, an analyst. I'm like, what is the matter with these people? Anyway, upgraded it, and stock was down 13 today. I don't understand people, why they would upgrade a stock the day of earnings. You got to be Karnak the Magnificent to know what a reaction is going to be on earnings report. For me, I think it's muy estupido. Well, what can I tell you? Moving forward, what are the wild cards? Well, we have discussed this quite a few times. So let's do some ifs. If the president decided to go back to the maniacal tariffs, I believe the markets will crash. No, crash. There is thought process, though, that every time the market gets hit, that he will change his mind. Well, that's what the modus operandi has been. We'll see. But if he did, I think it could be a problem. That's still a wild card that's out there. And we do not want you to forget, of very importance, that the president did not tell the truth when he told the world that tariffs are paid by other countries. He actually undercut his own not telling the truth by going after Walmart for raising prices. In case you do not know, tariffs are a tax on the companies and the businesses that bring in the product, paid to the Treasury, and then decision made on whether to put it upon the consumer who would be the buyer of that product. Do not forget this. That is why the markets crashed. The markets crashed because they were going to tariff every freaking country, and some big tariffs on some places where there are companies that get 97% of their product from, like apparel and sneakers. That's why you saw companies, let's see, I'm going to pull one out of the bag. How about On Holdings, ONON, 64 down to 34. Sports shoes they sell. And the list goes on and on and on. The good news is the crash made them change their whole stance. And of course, the people that back them have already forgotten it. They're trying to give it cover. We will not give it cover, because if he ever goes back to it, all hell is going to break loose again. That will be a wild card. This week, do we have another wild card in the not too big, not so beautiful bill? Well, a couple of things. If the bill passes, I don't think it's a big deal near term. It's just going to be another $2 trillion a year of debt. Longer term, there'll be repercussions, but I don't think near term would be. The bill sucks. The Republicans are conning their own people that voted for them. They're using the excuse of, oh, growth will cure everything, but that's not the problem. Growth will increase receipts to the Treasury. It's the size of the government and the yearly spending of the government that's the problem. Republicans for 4 years whined and complained about Biden supersizing debt deficits and the yearly government spending. Republicans are adding to it and lying about it. Their favorite line is, we're cutting $1.6 trillion over 10 years. That's after increasing it $20 trillion. You catching my drift? They are liars. And I would say it to every one of their faces. And you all that were also railing against Biden should be pissed off. From all of them. They are going to grow the government to where it's doing $8 trillion of spending, $9 trillion a year of spending, $10 trillion. The size of our government is going to be up 75% from 2019 in the next year. And what really irks is what a wonderful opportunity they had here to be heroes. And they have given us the middle finger. Those that care about the future of our children and their children, you were just given the middle finger by the party that promised to do something about it and are now playing three-card monte with it. And I am guaranteeing you, if this bill passes, the next year we're going to have a $2.5 trillion deficit. 2.5 if nothing changes. Now we can get better growth. Gee gosh, it'll only be 2.2 trillion deficit. You catching my drift? And believe me, we take no joy in any of this. Rand Paul is our hero. He's speaking up. There's a couple of others, our heroes. But they're being treated by like outsiders by the people really running the show. Imagine people that have an interest in debt and deficits and the balancing of their checkbook. They're the ones that are being told to us that they're the bad guys. We know different. Not opinion. You can't argue numbers. That said, there'll just be more debt. Up next, we'll take you to the weekend. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. You know, I forgot to talk about one other question I've been getting a lot of recently. And don't I think there's great value in marijuana stocks? Really? I don't know where that's coming from, because then I decided to look at some of the marijuana stocks and they really haven't moved. Let this be a lesson. Back in, I don't know, what was it, 18 and 19? These things were hyped like there's no tomorrow. And what did we say to you? We told you at the time, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Canopy growth has gone from 600 down to $1.70. That's just one of them. Do I need to say any others? Aurora Cannabis, 1,400 down to $5.72. We were watching some of these marijuana stocks. Let's see how we can do this. 54 million shares outstanding on Aurora Cannabis, and it was trading at the high 1,400. Catching my drift? Well, it only has a market cap of $313 million now. Obviously, it was worth a lot more. And obviously, the stock has not performed. Just remember the 1 + 1 = 2 syndrome. It's the same thing we did with Beyond Meat, with Rivian, and all kinds of crazy valuations. Rivian came public within a couple of days, had a $180 billion market cap with no sales. The market cap was almost as big as GM and Ford, who had $260 billion in sales. What did we tell you would happen to Rivian stock? Eventually, it did. Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat. What did we tell you back then? How much proliferation, notice the big word, was there going to be in plant? Well, how much? Well, the stock has gone from 221 down to 3. And then back to the marijuana stocks. It's just 1 + 1 = 2. You're competing with your they're competing with your cousin who lives 3 blocks away and doesn't charge you tax, and his stuff is better. And by the way, there's a big market for it. But, nah. Wasn't going to happen. Too many companies selling the same thing. We told you so. And we don't know what happens from here. We do remember every time somebody passed legalization, they popped up for a little bit and then went right back down. And we do know there's a market. I still remember when I was in Aspen, Colorado. It was not too late, but the town was shutting down. And we were walking around and we saw one store that had a ton of people online. And we thought they'd probably selling ice cream and stuff. No, it was marijuana. And man, oh man, it was like the Ritz-Carlton of marijuana. The guy was wearing one of these, I don't know, laboratory coats. Everything was placed so nice. So there's a market. But the marijuana companies, just no way. So when we find fads and crazy, we let you know. And right now, we think the crazy's in quantum and nuclear. But we don't know when they'll stop. We've seen plenty of stocks keep going and going and going before they croaked. But the bottom line is, and very simply, if they continue to have no sales, they will go back to where they came from. On the week, the Dow was up 1.17%, not that much, but okay. The S&P was up 1.5%. The NASDAQ was up 2%. The NASDAQ 100 was up 1.97. I believe the semiconductors 5.88. That'd be the big winner. And I do believe the S&P is now up for the year. It took to June to get it back up, and let's hope it stays up. I think the Russell 2000 is still down about 5%. I think the Dow's about flat, and I think the NASDAQ's about flat on the year, give or take. So good to be back. We thank President Trump for getting rid of those moronic, imbecilic tariffs, and let's hope they are not revisited, or else. There's an election next November. Of course, the biggest question I got was the Elon Musk, Donald Trump, whatchamadoogie? I don't know. Just sheer insanity. A president threatening a person and his business. Sorry, can't help you with that. Elon Musk having an opinion that we have on the debt and the deficits, we're cool with that. So I'm glad we're under the radar here. We're glad the president doesn't know me, because we're completely against what they're trying to do with the size, scope, reach of government, the spending, the debt and deficits of government. It's the same thing we complained about 4 years on Joe Biden, and we'll keep complaining about it on Donald Trump if this thing gets passed. The hope is the Senate wakes up and does better. Anything is better on that end. You'll have a great weekend. Drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. And just remember, we're on your side. Peace out, all. Good night.